Our cooperation has yielded fruitful results.
Nigeria, China commit to actualizing 4 agreements to boost bilateral relations.
Almost about different items of equipment numbering to about 10,000.
Food security, federal government's roll out tractorization program, 2,000 units set for February 2025.
That is well packaged, well put together, and well structured.
2025 appropriation bill, Ministry of Finance budget appear before Senate. A very warm welcome to you on NTA Network News. I am Jumai Yusuf. Adiola Kame Akere joins us tonight from Lagos, and Benny is on business news. Benny, what's in business and how the transaction in the markets, go on for this week?
It's been a positive market transaction in Nigeria's capital market. Now we have new regulations in a new year for a better economy.
And Bade is on sports. Bade, what's the reaction to the new Super Eagles coach?
Well, the appointment of Eric Chelle continues to divide opinions. Many wanted a foreign coach. The question now is a Malian not a foreigner? The NFF are standing firm on their decision and will unveil the coach as soon as possible.
Indeed, we get to talk about that when we join you later in the broadcast. And don't forget, you can watch these broadcasts live on our social media platforms displayed on the screen. We begin with bilateral relations, as President Bola Tinubu has urged the federal government of the People's Republic of China to increase the $2 billion currency swap between Nigeria and China to enhance trade between the two countries. The president, who received the Minister of Foreign Affairs of China, Wang Yi, at the State House, also called for an upward review of the $50 billion and package for Africa, which China's President Xi Jinping announced last year. State House correspondent Musbaud and Wahab reports.
President Bola Tinubu officially resumed his office for the first time in the new year. It was a steady movement as he takes the next phase of leading the country further in peace and much hope for greater prosperity. And the first engagement here was the visiting Chinese Foreign Affairs Minister Wang Yi. The president's earlier trip to China and meeting with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping has resulted in the renewal of the currency swap with China to enhance trade and investments, with a new benchmark set at $2 billion. But this president likes the deal when the stakes are higher. President Tinubu believes increasing the level of currency swaps will speed up the infrastructural development in Nigeria and deepen the strategic bilateral relations. He said the bond between Nigeria and China should grow stronger and become unbreakable. Regarding the $50 billion pledged by the Chinese government to support Africa, President Tinubu noted that the continent's infrastructural needs would require more commitments, urging a review of the amount to reflect the continent's reality. President Tinubu called on China to support Nigeria's bid for a permanent United Nations Security Council seat. He said Africa, particularly Nigeria, is prepared to meet developmental goals and contribute project counterpart funding. The visiting Chinese minister thanked President Bola Tinubu for appointing a Director General and Global Liaison, Nigeria-China Strategic Partnership, to oversee the implementation of a Memorandum of Understanding for the rapid development of the Nigerian economy. He also appreciated Nigeria for abiding by the One China principle, promising continued support to Nigeria in achieving the Renewed Hope agenda, countering terrorism, and ensuring regional security. Yi said Chinese investment in the country would focus on employment generation and infrastructural development. The foreign minister said China would welcome Nigeria's membership in the BRICS and participation in the Global Development Mechanism. From the State House, Muspa and Wahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, 4 agreements reached between Nigeria and China are currently at various stages of implementation, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar, along with his Chinese counterpart, Wang Yi, both reaffirmed their commitment to formalizing the strategic partnerships in a constructive one to mutually benefit the two countries. Garbanata Allah reports.
The intent is displayed here as Yusuf Tugar warmly receives the Chinese foreign minister at the ministry for high-level talks to deepen bilateral cooperation across key sectors of both economies. The visit also signals China's support for Nigeria has yielded positive results. Before a closed-door session, Yusuf Tugar, who doubled as an interpreter, affirms that Nigeria's diplomatic engagements with China had been free from disputes.
More so, our cooperation has yielded fruitful results in various fields, including trade, investment, infrastructure development, and cultural exchange.
The minister recalled the state visit of President Tinubu to China from 3rd to 4th September 2024, during which 4 MOUs were signed.
Nigeria reaffirms its commitment to the terms of the MOUs, which are currently at various stages of implementation.
China's Foreign Affairs Minister, Wang Yi, promised to further pursue development by exploring other key areas of collaboration in driving growth.
My visit this time is to further the tradition of the Chinese foreign minister visiting Africa as the first overseas visit of the new year. It is also to discuss with my African friends how to deliver on the important common understandings reached at the FOCAC Beijing meeting in Nigeria.
The two parties are also expected to further find ways of implementing the resolutions of the FOCAC Beijing meetings, particularly the 10 partnership actions, which is another focal area to deepen trade and investment between the two countries. In Abuja, Garb Muhammad Atala, NTA News.
Now let's bring you up to speed with other news as preparations have begun at the National Arcade ahead of the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2025 to honor the bravery, courage, sacrifice and legacy of the fallen heroes. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello captured some highlights of the rehearsal at the National Arcade in Abuja.
The morning air was crisp and the sun had barely begun to rise when the soldiers gathered in the heart of the town. Eagle Square area was cordoned with the sole purpose of rehearsing for the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, a solemn occasion where the nation pays tribute to the heroes who had laid down their lives for freedom. The preparation parade was the highlight of the day, a symbol of respect for the fallen and a reminder of the sacrifices made. As the military band began to play, the sound of drums and brass filled the air, resonating through the street. The soldiers marched in perfect unison, their boots echoing on the pavement. Each step was deliberate, each movement precise, a silent salute to those who had made the ultimate sacrifice. It wasn't just a rehearsal, it was a promise that the sacrifices made by the fallen would never be in vain. Officers and men of the armed forces are putting in finishing touches to come up with a top-notch parade come 15th of January 2025. Olajide Bello, NTA.
In the meantime, the federal government has provided more critical combat enablers as a deliberate effort to enhance the capacity of the armed forces as they continue to combat insecurity and maintain peace across Nigeria. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, said this while addressing troops at Samaru Cantonment in Zango Kataf local government area of Kaduna State. Indeyang Adeyaba Gang has the details.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, says the visit is part of ongoing efforts at strengthening the defense mechanism of the armed forces. They were at Samaru Cantonment in Zangon Kataf local government area for an on-the-spot assessment of the level of work and the progress of the infrastructure development aimed at enhancing operational capabilities of the cantonment. General Christopher Musa commended the troops for their dedication and resilience, reiterating the military's commitment to ensuring their welfare and operational effectiveness. He further assured the troops on efforts to provide additional reinforcements and critical combat enablers approved by the presidency to enhance military operations in keeping Nigeria safe.
I want to thank Mr. President for the support he's given us. He has promised us everything we require we will get. We're happy that the southern Kaduna is getting more peaceful.
Terrain here, some of these places you cannot enter them with gun trucks. So motorcycles are very, very key. Also, we'll be getting night vision goggles to enhance our night fighting capability.
With confidence, I can tell you things are much, much better than they were before.
Earlier, the Chief of Defense Staff and his team visited the Chief of Kagoro, Chief Ufwe Bonnet, to reassure him of the military's determination to bring peace to the community. Ndenyan and Abuja, NTA News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has decorated his aide-de-camp, ADC, Nuruddin Yusuf, with his new rank of colonel in the Nigerian Army. State House correspondent Musbaud Anwahab reports that service chiefs attended the decoration ceremony at the State House.
Meet the man that takes every step with the president in official engagements. He is the aide-de-corps, translating to a helper. The ADC provides security and protects the president and his family in collaboration with men of other security agencies. As one of the closest aides to the president, the ADC also has additional responsibilities. These include attending to the personal needs and other matters of the president regarding his functions as the commander-in-chief of these functions. Nuruddin Yusuf has been performing since the inception of President Bola Tinubu in 2023, home and abroad.
Lieutenant Colonel.
This day, Lieutenant Colonel Yusuf would be decorated with his new rank as due and approved by the Nigerian Army. And the prestige could not get bigger as the ADC also got the additional honor of being decorated by the Commander-in-Chief.
Colonel Yusuf.
Apparently satisfied with the services of his ADC so far, the President, out of a moment, saluted Colonel Yusuf for his diligence.
He is worthy of promotion, and I'm very happy for you. You are a very diligent, reliable officer with right temperament. I believe you will go farther and farther in your chosen profession.
Red Neck, a new rank of seniority in the military, marks a new milestone for the ADC along its line of duty.
As a Red Neck officer, I, Colonel Nuruddin Alowonle Yusuf, once again pledge my unalloyed loyalty to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and to the Nigerian nation.
Colonel Yusuf has held several appointments within and outside the army in the course of his career, some of which include Officer Commanding State House Military Intelligence Group 2010 to 2012, and later the Officer Commanding the Presidential Bodyguard State House Abuja 2015 to 2017. He has participated in military operations within and outside the country, including Operation Restore Hope, Operation Zaman Lafia, and the United Nations mission in Darfur, Sudan.
Yeah, this is a reward for hard work. It shows that when you work very hard, you get good results. And in the military, that's what we do. We always make sure that those deserving are the ones that are really promoted. And we thank Mr. President for making it possible. And for him, I know he knows military, the higher you go, the hotter it becomes. So he's now a redneck. More is expected from him, and I'm sure he's ready and willing to do so.
Colonel Nuruddin Alowonle Yusuf is from Kwara State. From the State House, Musbal Anwahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Tinubu expressed his sympathy to the military authorities following the loss of 6 soldiers during a terrorist attack on an army base in Sabongida, Damboa, Borno State. He extends condolences to families of the fallen soldiers whose sacrifice in defending the nation will forever be honored and remembered. In the wake of the tragic event, President Tinubu has called for a thorough investigation to uncover the circumstances that led to the unfortunate incident and ensure that it serves as a valuable lesson to prevent similar occurrences. President Tinubu commends the armed forces for their swift and decisive response, particularly the air component, in launching effective retaliatory strikes and significant neutralization of numerous terrorists and the destruction of their assets as they attempted to flee. He says the action by the army demonstrates capability and readiness of the military to confront and defeat threats to the nation's security, and a statement to the resolve to eradicate terrorism and banditry, paving the way for a future where peace and security prevail for all Nigerians. We'll take our first break. More news when we return. Don't go away.
Purpose in our passion.
You're watching NTA Network News. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, has itemized some benefits of the economic policies adopted by the President Tinubu, which include increased reserves, stable foreign exchange, lower deficit and debt service at an engagement between the State Committee on Appropriation and the Presidential Economic Team on 2024 budget performance and outlook in 2025. The minister asserts that federal government is poised to continue on that trajectory for economic growth. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
We have a budget that is well packaged, well put together, and well structured, and whose financial implications are realistic and realizable.
Quite often asked question of us is whether our commitment to stay in the course, and certainly with the leadership of Mr. President and your support, we are determined to stay the course.
This sitting is among series of engagements between the Economic Team and National Assembly as work continues on the 49.7 trillion naira 2025 budget proposal. The lawmakers sought specific details and information on federal government's implementation of the budget and plans for the year amid economic realities.
You explained to us, one, the current situation of things as affect the economy. Two, to discuss about the 2024 Appropriation Act performance. And three, to also introduce to us all that is contained in the 2025 Appropriation Bill.
The forward to release in the Office of the Accountant General. I think there is a need to have a second look of that policy of bottom-top approach.
Some of these things have not been actually addressed, especially working with the figures. It is important to clearly talk on the figures.
The session continued behind closed doors. Meanwhile, the Chairman Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation, Senator Ken Eze, at a session on budget performance and projections, with agencies in the sector advised that there should be deliberate effort to think outside the box for improved services to Nigerians and internally generated revenue.
And this is a sector that has been devoured with so many challenges, especially in terms of fake reportage.
Some of the agencies highlighted their mandates and called for improved funding.
And we discovered that about 20.7 billion was misallocated to other MDAs for the same job NOA was set up to do. And all these MDAs still come back to us, keeping the money, and they expect us to deliver. And when there are issues in the country, they call NOA.
Our core mandate is to present complete and impartial information, news material or features that is not inimical or injurious to national interest.
The budget defense session with the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembus, that of the Voice of Nigeria, Jibril Babandachi, and the DG of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Muhammad Bulama, among others, will be held at a later date. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
For more on the economy, let's join Benny Adams. Hello, Benny.
Thank you, Jumai. And talking business, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has expressed readiness to improve the regulatory framework on borrowing by government and corporations. Director General of the Commission, Dr. Imomotimi Agama, says this has become important given the critical role borrowing plays in the financial system. And for corporations, the SEC DG says the Commission is changing the landscape with new rules on central counterparties, adding that the new rules on CCPS have become so critical for Nigeria's development, especially for corporations in raising capital. And moving on to the global market, at this point, African stocks are up with Nigeria leading just as Asia-Pacific markets tumbled Thursday over worries that a Federal Reserve could delay policy easing due to inflation concerns. And looking at the numbers for Nigeria, African markets from Nigeria to South Africa to Tunisia and Namibia, it's all green as the Nigerian market. The Nigerian Stock Exchange market appreciated in both volume and value to the tune of 1.25%. For the South African GSC index top 40 is 0.80%. Tunisia tuning ZEG 0.28%, and now Namibia at this particular point is 0.42%. Moving on to Asia, China's inflation data for December actually released this Thursday showed the consumer price index edged up 0.1% last month from a year ago, while the producer price index dropped 2.3% year-on-year, sliding for the 27th straight month, leading to the market going all red, from the Japan Nikkei to the Chinese Shanghai index to the Hong Kong Hang Seng index, all going red. Japan is at 0.94%, the Shanghai Composite 0.58%, and Hong Kong Hang Seng index 0.12%. And for the U.S. market, ahead of Trump's inauguration, the S&P 500 actually posted a modest gain as traders assess the potential for future Federal Reserve rate cuts amid persistent inflationary pressures. The Dow Jones is up 0.25%, the US S&P 500 0.16%. So only the Nasdaq Composite went down by 0.06%. At this point, I'm looking at Europe. Europe was also good. Looking at the numbers in Europe, you had two markets going on so well, doing well. And now more details on the Nigerian market. Investors gained 722.73 billion naira, with market capitalization closing at 64.35 trillion naira, bringing the year-to-date return to 2.53%. Looking at the numbers at this point, the volume of shares traded amongst investors is 489.5 million shares, valued at 13.07 billion naira, and the deals settled at 13,010 deals. Equity capitalization actually appreciated to 64.3 trillion naira, bringing our all-share index to 105,530.74 basis points, moving from the 0.80% of yesterday to 1.24% yesterday. And looking at the total volume traded, it declined by 35.28% to close at 489.53%, valued at 13.7 billion naira, and traded in 13,010 deals, as we saw in those numbers. Now, Univision was the most traded stock by volume with 97.24 million units traded, while Seplat was the most traded stock by value, worth 4.56 billion naira. Well, that is it on business tonight, but tomorrow is another day. So keep a date with us.
Thank you, Benny. We see a good start.
Business around the world, Jumai.
Indeed, Benny, we see a good start to the Nigerian stock market in 2025, and I hope it is maintained. Thank you. Now, participants at one-day symposium in Abuja want sector players to integrate various diversity in the sector to harness the numerous benefits of crude oil in Nigeria. Lydia Samson reports.
At Abiola Adebiyi is a core member, and like most Nigerians, she wants a better understanding of the complexity of the oil and gas industry in the country. This symposium, she says, has given her more perspective.
As Nigerians that want to forge a way ahead, we certainly need to take control of our resources.
Participants at the one-day symposium organized by NNPC Limited and Class Masters Limited are focusing on turning around the Nigerian oil industry from challenges to opportunity and towards sustainable development. They also want the navigation of hurdles to boost oil production instead of consumption at the expense of production.
There is need for us to know how the industry works. Now we are talking about energy transition. How are we transiting? How are we moving? People should be aware. People should be environmentally conscious.
And if a country has a viable petrochemical industry and also has a viable steel industry, that country is on the way to fulfillment in the economic sector.
Well, there should be affirmative action to ensure women participation across the entire value chain, not just in catering and cleaning services, but in the core engineering.
You know, the youths are crying out to know what are the potentials and the opportunities that are there, so that what they have in their head as innovation can be integrated into development in this country. This has come out very, very emphatically, and I think this is the way to go.
They acknowledge that the Nigerian petroleum industry is at a pivotal junction, especially as regards the shift to renewables and cleaner energy. They are optimistic that with genuine efforts at imbibing best practices from other countries, significant developments can happen this 2025 and beyond in the Nigerian oil industry. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Now, talking agriculture, President Bola Tinubu has authorized the procurement and distribution of 2,000 tractors to enhance agricultural activities in the country. An agreement to this effect was signed in the presence of the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security in Abuja. Musa Baba Aliu reports.
In October 2024, the Federal Executive Council approved the memorandum for the procurement of heavy-duty equipment intended for agricultural activities. A total of 2,000 units of tractors and other farming implements will be deployed at the cost of $70 million. The National Agricultural Development Fund, a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, will oversee the procurement.
We have also had a visitation to a farm where John Deere tractors, the John Deere model farm, and have also engaged on some very rigorous and intensive negotiations of the terms and conditions of this contract.
This led to the signing of an agreement that paves the way for the deployment of the tractors starting in February of this year. In addition to this initiative, the federal government is also working on 3 additional mechanization programs, including the deployment of 10,000 tractors.
Where also it seeks to, amongst others, development of farmlands across the country, where we intend to open up 25,000 hectares in every geopolitical zone, and then supply of almost about different items of equipment numbering to about 10,000.
The president's vision is for Nigeria to expand its cultivated areas and enhance production through mechanization. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Time now to join Adiola in our Lagos Network Center for more on NTA Network News. Adiola, how are you?
Thank you. It's good to see you. In a bid to sustain its mandate to protect and promote public health through effective and efficient regulatory system that ensures the right quality of food and drugs are produced, the Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has highlighted strategic plans for year 2025. Larry Malay, who was at the agency's briefing, has details.
The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, listed the strategic goals of the agency for the year 2025 to include 5 pillars, which are strong governance and leadership, institutionalization of best practices, safety, and quality-regulated products, monitoring of the supply chain, and efficient financial management. Emphasis will be placed on drugs for maternal and child health, especially on postpartum conditions of mothers and anti-malaria drugs for children.
This year, 2025, will be maternal, newborn, and child health and nutrition year. The focus is to prevent postpartum hemorrhage and maternal deaths drastically and reduce child morbidity.
Also, on metapneumovirus discovered in China recently, NAFDAC said it is putting strategy in place to mitigate its spread, one of which is to encourage local medical devices.
We need to have local content. And the executive order of Mr. President is making that to happen. We are now unholding our syringes manufacturers.
NAFDAC says these highlighted goals of the agency will be pursued to a logical conclusion. In Lagos, Lanre Bilayi, NTA News.
The Lagos State government has not reneged on its renewed plan to ensure proper enforcement on the use of the pedestrian bridges, also called footbridges. Thus, the state government believes will aid motorists and pedestrians' safety, accessibility, and also add to the aesthetics of the state. Adejoke Odeka completes the story.
One of the duties of every government in a country is to provide facilities that will create comfort and improve security for its citizens. One of these numerous facilities is the pedestrian bridges, also known as foot bridges. One of these bridges have been constructed in different parts of Lagos metropolis, such as Ojodu Bega, Oworoshoki, Obanikoro, CMS, Sele, and Lekki Ekpe Expressway, amongst others. But are residents utilizing these footbridges?
Officially, people are using the bridge, but it's not everybody that are using the bridge. But the car, they are working on it right now.
Government make it so that you can, instead of crossing the road, you avoid risks of accident, maybe hitting by a car.
When you cross without asking, the government is supposed to arrest you.
After the Lagos State government gave an order for the arrest of anyone found crossing the highway at points where there are pedestrian bridges, agencies who were instructed to enforce this directive say there is a level of compliance. However, stringent actions are being taken against defaulters.
There are still some recalcitrant people who are still not complying. We are doing regular enforcement, posting personnel to areas that are identified that people are not adequately complying, and making sure that they comply with this. And going forward, we are also working with the government to ensure that we create what is called CPTED, that is crime prevention through environmental design, by creating barricades that will discourage people, even if nobody is there, that will discourage them from crossing the highway instead of using the pedestrian bridges.
The instruction is simple: use the pedestrian bridges, as this will allow pedestrians cross roads safely without the risk of being hit by vehicles. In Lagos, Adejoke Odeka, NTA News.
We're done from Lagos. We'll have more reports when we return from this break. Please stay with us.
NTA say thank you to all our viewers. NTA say thank you. A good TV station means different things to different people. What made NTA stand out for you in 2024?
Babu Shakka, Babu Wani.
You're welcome back. The reforms intended to ensure good governance must be efficiently driven by the engine room of government. This is the charge by Governor Muhammad Inuwa Yahya as he administers the oath of office and allegiance to newly appointed permanent secretaries. Emmanuel Akila reports that the occasion saw the welcome home of the overall winner of the National Quran Recitation Competition.
With this oath of allegiance, 5 permanent secretaries have been added to Gombe State Civil Service.
Core leadership principles of His Excellency, characterized by dedication,
hard work, discipline, loyalty, commitment to excellence, and innovation.
We are very sure of their capabilities, and we are sure that they are going to perform, particularly in line with the reform initiatives of this administration.
Governor Muhammad Ino Yahya is desperate to reform the state civil service, therefore expects excellence and hard work to be the watchword of civil servants.
Our administration maintains zero tolerance for corruption, indiscipline, incompetence, and wastefulness. Your service to the state must match the goodwill of our administration, and as we continue to strive for excellence in governance and service delivery.
The platform is used to celebrate the overall winner of the National Quranic Recitation Competition, a daughter of Gombe State, and other illustrious sons and daughters who won in different categories.
I want to thank my parents and my teachers.
The occasion is indeed a call to service and celebration of excellence. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
And the federal government remains resolute in its quest to provide quality education for Nigerians with zero tolerance for infractions in the sector, says Minister of Education Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa. This is during an engagement with the chairman of the governing councils for polytechnics and colleges of education. Zenret Dignimu tells us more.
The ministry remains fully committed to supporting your efforts. We are ready to listen to your concerns, deliberate on them, and at the same time work together to propose solutions.
This engagement set the tone for a candid discussion between the Ministers of Education and the chairman of governing councils for polytechnics and colleges of education. The goal is to evaluate the operational activities of these institutions, focusing on fortifying their distinct and invaluable roles in producing skilled manpower, exceptional innovators, and educators for the economy.
There are some limitations here and there when it comes to the powers of a board in respect of powers of a commission. I happen to have privilege of making law, and I know the slight differences that exist.
We wish to also inform you that we have been inundated about the lack of budgetary head for the funding of governing councils' activities in the colleges.
Dr. Alausa emphasizes the need for accountability and high standards in the sector.
The governing council are expected to set the tone for institutional excellence, promote good governance, and support the pursuit of academic and infrastructure development.
The ministry's 6-point agenda, according to the minister, is a comprehensive plan addressing critical areas that must be harnessed to drive and achieve the sector's goals. In Abuja, Zenret Dignimu, NTA News.
The Kano State government has uplifted the lives of 41,600 women over the past 7 months. Governor Abubakar Yusuf made this known as he handed over financial assistance to 5,200 vulnerable women from the 44 local government areas of the state. Abdullah Mustafa has the report.
These women were drawn from the 44 local government areas of Kano State as the first set of beneficiaries of the First Empowerment Program in 2025. Launched in May 2024, the program is designed to uplift vulnerable women economically, providing them with the resources to thrive. Each of them has been granted 50,000 naira to help boost their capital for various income-generating activities. Governor Abubakar Yusuf described the initiative as a critical strategy to eliminate the financial barriers that have long hindered women from making a substantial contribution to the economy.
We must implement deliberate policies to lift millions of our citizens out of poverty.
Such efforts, he believes, are essential to creating equal opportunities and empowering women to play an active role in the society. To date, he disclosed more than 41,000 women across the state have benefited from this program. Governor Yusuf assured that additional empowerment schemes aimed at alleviating poverty and curbing social vices are already in the pipeline. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
There will be more on the other side of the break.
Government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cable and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
In groundswell of tributes, burial ceremony for 39th President of the USA, Jimmy Carter, has begun, and gunmen attempted to overrun Chad's presidential palace. Kolo Muhammad brings us details on these and other stories on Global Updates.
President Jimmy Carter's burial has begun. Jimmy Carter's casket left the Capitol and was received at the Washington's National Cathedral amid groundswell of tributes in honor of the 39th U.S. President and the last from the greatest generation. Seated for his burial at the cathedral are former presidents of the U.S., Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Barack Obama. In their midst is also President-elect Donald Trump. And from the Sahel nation, Chad, gunfires were heard near the presidential palace in the evening that lasted for hours, while security sources reported that armed men had tried to overrun the complex. Government spokesman and Foreign Minister Abdurrahman Kalamullah said the situation is completely under control and the stabilization attempt was put down. He said they attacked 4 guards before entering the presidential complex. Today in Mozambique, thousands of people turned out to meet Mozambique's main opposition leader as he returned home from more than 2 months in exile Thursday to push his claim that he won the October presidential election. Security forces barred supporters from going to Maputo's international airport to meet Venancio Modlani as he landed, with at least 1 person shot and many others wounded at one of the barricades. But thousands gathered later at a market in the city center, chanting Venancio and blowing whistles and vuvuzelas as Modlani, flanked by security guards, stood on top of a car and waved and pointed to the crowd. Modlani claimed the vote was rigged in favor of the Frelimo party, which has held power for 50 years. He said a separate count showed that he won the vote, which he repeated at the airport. Muhammad, NTA News.
And Bade Adele is standing by with more details in Sports Update. Bade.
Many thanks, Jume. Now, let's begin with the story of the Super Eagles coach, as the Nigeria Football Federation maintains the appointment of Eric Chile as the new coach of the Super Eagles was based on sporting reasons following the recommendations of his technical and development subcommittee. The NFF has also confirmed the contract is for an initial duration of 2 years. Meanwhile, as the home-based Eagles gear up for the 2024 African Nations Championship from February 1 to 28 in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, Mohamed Sanusi, the General Secretary of the Nigeria Football Federation, has assured Nigerians that the team is focused on clinching the trophy. Sanusi highlighted the team's resolve and the promise they showed during the qualifying matches against Ghana while speaking to me earlier today.
Football is one of the few things that unite Nigerians, and they are aware of that. They would want the unity of Nigeria. Coupled with the fact that we have not gone to CHAN for quite a long time, and having discovered them and trained them and having qualified for the CHAN, they will also want to make number for themselves and for their family. It is an avenue for them to be seen, to be discovered, and to go for greener pastures. So they are fully aware of this, and I believe they are leaving no stone unturned to make sure that they prepare very well and make.
All right, let's make a quick trip to England now, as Amad Diallo has signed a new contract that will extend his stay with Manchester United until June 30, 2030. The 22-year-old player from Cote d'Ivoire has 50 appearances and 9 goals since joining the club in 2021. This season, he has netted 6 goals and bagged 7 assists and won the club's Player of the Month twice. And of course, to a dismissal story where Sean Dyche has been dismissed as the manager of Everton after nearly 2 years in the role. The 53-year-old is now the 6th Premier League manager to be let go of this season. In the surprising development, defender Seamus Coleman, alongside former Everton player Leighton Baines, are leading the team in the FA Cup match currently ongoing. Dyche departs Everton, sitting 16th in the standings, only 1 point clear of the relegation zone. This decision comes shortly after the Friedkin Group's takeover of the club. And finally, Novak Djokovic has alleged that he was poisoned while in quarantine in Australia in January 2022. The 24-time champion was detained 3 years ago after he admitted to providing inaccurate information on the travel document prior to the Australian Open. He was eventually deported after his visa was revoked, spending time in a Melbourne hotel as a complicated legal situation unfolded after. Returning to Serbia, Djokovic suggested that the medical test indicated he had a high level of lead in his body, leading him to believe that he may have ingested the metal through his food. That's all on sports for now. Let's return to Jemai.
Thank you so much, buddy. And that's it on NTA Network News tonight. Thanks so much for your time. On behalf of the production crew, we appreciate you always. I am Jumai Yasaf.